All praise, glory, and honors most certainly do. Most I got the picture I say behind my Jacob. Peace to you in the name of the Son. I come to you a blessing each and every single time that I come before you. Preach the word of God and never do count it as a light thing to do so. All right, brothers and sisters, I want to get right into it, and probably not gonna like what I have to say, but I want to deal with two things, two questions I received. And these are difficult questions in the sense of if I'm sticking strictly with the Bible, okay, which is what I do. So people are not going to, well, I just deal with it. Sister asked about, she said she was in the Word. Come to find out her husband is dealing in sodomy. Okay. Then another brother, or somebody else, brother, I was doing a lesson about the role of men in the household, and the brother asked a question. I've been super busy and haven't been able to get on here every single day like normal. I just had too much on my plate to do that. So I did want to address those two questions. Okay, so the sister basically with the husband that's dealing in sodomy, she asked, should she stay with her husband or should she get a divorce? Okay, now let's first of all, let's see what's wrong with, because sodomy meaning this man is dealing with other men sexually. Let's look at that. Let's go to Leviticus. Let's first off show that that's totally out of pocket, totally wrong. This is Leviticus, the 18th chapter and verse 22. It says, "Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination." Okay, so for a man to lay with another man as he would lay with a woman is abomination. Leviticus the 20th chapter, just so we're clear. Let's go to Leviticus the 20th chapter and verse 13, because here we see the judgment according to Torah for that. And this is what I'm speaking out of. I'm speaking out of basically the instruction or the law, the Torah. Okay, so it said, if a man also lie with mankind as he lied with a woman. Okay, so just like a man would know his wife, if a man lay with a man, it says both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. This is what was the judgment for Israel if this took place. It was death. It was the death penalty. That is not the case today. As a matter of fact, this country has sanctioned and legalized same-sex marriage, which is impossible. Because why is it impossible? Because it's what I'm saying. It's impossible. It's impossible for people of the same sex to be married. Because in principle, the purpose of marriage since antiquity, rather, the purpose of marriage has been to bring forth children. That's been the purpose. And it is within the confines of that marriage, children are supposed to be brought forth. That institution of marriage is best for children. In principle, men and men and women cannot bring forth children when they come together. Thus, they have no way to actually be married. You can have a man and a woman that's sterile, but they still have the components to bring forth a child. It might be highly unlikely, but it's still possible. With two men and two women together, it is impossible. And what man is trying to do now is get around all that with his tomfoolery. I saw one case, I dealt with it on here. It was a man, and he was homosexual, and his mother was carrying his, so he got his seed in his mother. Or his mother, or it was something like a relative. It was either his sister-in-law, I think it is his mother. Yeah, so it's all, man, it's crazy. Okay, so he tells you what God thinks about that. Okay, just so we're clear and make no mistake about it. It's something that is an abomination unto the Lord. Okay, so yeah, that's the judgment for it. Now the sister says, should I get a divorce from him? Here's the problem. The problem is, in America, you could do whatever you want to do. 70% of divorces are initiated by women in America. Okay. Now, you can't. Now, if I'm looking at this, I'm telling you this from a biblical perspective, which is the perspective, the lens in which I am looking through. And I'm telling you, let's go look at divorce. Let's go to Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter. Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter. And I'm going to pick it up at verse, I'm going to pick it up at verse 24. Chapter 24 and verse 1. Because here you see what divorce is. And we're going to find out who can divorce. Deuteronomy 24 and verse 1, according to Torah. Okay? Deuteronomy 24 and 1 said, when a man have taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes because he hath found some uncleanness in her, then let him, not her, let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house. So divorce was a two-step process. Okay, it was a two-step process. And what many men were doing at the time is they would send a woman out of their house and not write him a bill of divorcement. Okay, put her away, but not in the sense of putting her out of his house, but she's technically still married. So if she was to go with somebody else, she was committing adultery. If she was to lay with some other man, that's what they were doing, and they were being treacherous. Okay, so, but again, it's two steps initiated by men. When you read in Torah, according to Torah, you don't have women divorcing men. I'm gonna say that again. According to Torah, you don't have women divorcing men. You have, I know that's what they do in the Western world, because this is not a patriarchy. This is a gynocracy. This is a matriarchy. But the Bible is patriarchal. Okay, it is male dominant, and men wrote bills of divorcement. Okay, understand that was not ideal, right? But at the same time, you understand that you don't see women, you can't find nowhere in Torah where a woman is sanctioning a woman even write a bill of divorcement. Okay, so that was a two-step process. It was, first of all, it was initiated. Who initiated? It was initiated by a man. Two-step process. One, he had to write a bill of divorcement, and two, he had to send this woman out of his house. Okay. So again, I'm gonna just read it again. It says, when a man had taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes because he had found some uncleanness in her. Then, and the speculation on what that uncleanness is, it says, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house. I'm gonna kind of connect this to the next question because it's his house. See, everything is upside down today. You got men moving into her house, right? Well, she running the household. She telling you what time it is. She telling you what to do. Everything is out of order. Everything is out of order. Okay. It says, and when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. And if the latter husband hate her and write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife after that she is defiled, for that is abomination before the Lord. So he couldn't, if he wrote this woman a bill of divorcement and sent her out of his house and divorced her, if she went and was with another, she took with another husband, and then that husband did the same thing and sent her out of the house with a bill of divorcement, she could not return to that first husband. Because he said that's an abomination. And he said, now shall not cause the land of sin, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance. So I cannot sit here and say to you that you should again according to Torah. If I'm strictly legally dealing with it, I can't tell you that. But I will say I would not be in that situation. Because again, according to the Western world, you can do whatever you want. According to the Bible, technically, the law, Torah, you don't even see that. You don't even see a woman legally divorcing a man. I wouldn't subject myself to that, though. I would separate myself. Now, whether he wants to terminate the marriage because the man is dealing with other men, and that is a problem. But I would not advise that you endanger yourself in dealing with this individual. That's just to be honest. I mean, that's the best advice I could give. And again, if I'm speaking strictly from the Bible, but the thing is, one thing about the email was that it was stated that you both in the Word. How are you in the Word? Like, what does I'm actually, I don't like that term, and the reason I don't like the term, I've been in the truth. What does that mean exactly? And this is not me casting stones at the sister by any means, but what it is me saying, what does that mean? Because you got people saying they're in the truth. I got another email in the last few days. A sister emailed and stated that her husband, now they've been in the Word, been in the truth for some time, I believe, and they have children, and now they are married. Now they are expecting another child, and he says to her, according to the email, we don't have enough money for this child. You need to get an abortion. So-called in the Word. What word or what truth are you into? And the sister said something. She said, I can't believe it's not like I'm in the street just dealing with somebody and the person, some man tell her to get an abortion. This is her husband. And it's not like her life is even, it's nothing like that. It's too much money. He said, I think they had 2 children. He didn't want another child. Now, this is somebody so-called in the truth. He said, he tells her to get an abortion. My question to you is, what is your criteria for marriage? I'm going to say that again. What is your criteria for marriage? Because if somebody is a homosexual, there were some tendencies prior to you getting married. See, we can't just be with somebody, and I'm not saying this is necessarily the case because I don't know, but I have seen it repeatedly that somebody who is trying to deal with what thus saith the Lord, and the problem is they don't want to be by themselves, which is understandable. It is very it is a human thing to do, to want to connect with another individual, to share a life with another individual. However, you can't just be with just anybody. That's what you shouldn't do. This is 1 Corinthians, the 6th chapter. Or, excuse me. Second Corinthians, the 6th chapter. He says in verse 14, be ye not unequally yoked with unbelievers, for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion have light with darkness? Understand. Yeah, you would think it's unbeliever can be just somebody just in where they ain't dealing with it at all. It could also be somebody that ain't really dealing with it. You need to actually just sit back and observe and test the person's character. I ain't saying make tests for them, but test it in the sense of let time indicate where you should go. How is it that you done showed some tendency, you done something more than likely that was suspect. You didn't just one day just go up and just deal with a man. There was some signs there, and oftentimes people let emotions and butterflies and puppy love, or lust. And again, I'm not saying that's what the sister did. I'm saying in general. Oftentimes people allow that to blind them from the truth. I ain't talking about the truth of God's word in this case. I'm talking about the truth of that individual. There are some things that let you know they are not the person you're supposed to be with. So it ain't just one day. I find it, that's not usually how that works. Somebody will wake up one day and then sleep with somebody of the same sex. That's just not how that works. There was something, you heard something, there was some, usually you would hear something, you would see something, somebody would say something to you about that particular situation. You can't blind yourself to that because you want to be with somebody. I watched this one show, and it was a show, the man, he was married to the woman. I'm looking at him. I was like, this man is a homosexual. Sure enough, that's what it was. I'm like, she didn't see that. I'm like, how you don't see that? Yeah, so it's a terrible situation to be in. And see, the problem is that unfortunately, when it comes to, when it comes to what thus said the Lord, see, he's telling you how to avoid all this. And when I say all this, I'm talking about heartache through being obedient unto his word. He's showing you, if you pay attention and you look at the qualities of righteous men, you'll know what's acceptable. I'm going to say that again. If you look at the qualities of righteous men and righteous women, you'll know what's acceptable. When you look at, for example, we talk about a virtuous woman. See, one thing men can do is quite often. See, women not the only ones that ignore things. Men will look at the exterior, the outward appearance of a woman and be totally attracted to this woman. So to the point where she will basically control him or be able to because he's so enraptured by what she looked like. And she can say things and get away with things that or even act a fool because he's so attracted to her. Got her wrapped around his finger. I know somebody like that. Talk to him crazy, treat him like that, but he's so enraptured by what she looked like. Now he is a shell of a man and allow it. Well, he dead now, but would allow anything to take place because of that. That's foolishness. See, what you should be looking at first and foremost, does this woman truly love God? And is she truly a servant of God? And you will know that how? Because everybody say they love God. Everybody say they love God. The stripper, the prostitute, the murderer, I love God. Everybody love God. But you'll know them by how they walk. You'll know them by their actions. Just sit back and observe sometime and see. And if it's virtue there, you will see it. It will manifest itself. If it's carnality there as well, that will manifest itself. She gonna carry herself a certain way. Okay, and you look at the outline. What say about a virtuous woman? You're not gonna usually find that. That's rare. That's rare. It's not all these everybody think they serving God and love God. Every woman thinks she a virtuous woman. She be standing there with, immodest clothing, talking about she a virtuous woman. So that's not, or a man can be talking about he love God, he don't take care of his kids. How you love God, you don't take care of your kids? Bible says you're worse than the infidel if you don't take care of your household. So again, it's a terrible situation. I can't say, again, in divorce, that in and of itself, because I can't say, well, he committed adultery. That's not what adultery is, right? And I can't say a woman. Again, you don't see under no circumstances a woman legally, at least legally, divorcing a man. So, but again, I would not advise to stay in that situation. As far as not separating yourself from that situation. Because this is a terrible situation to be in, and really, it's a testament to what you shouldn't do. You can't be out here blind, not paying attention to signs. Somebody going to the same synagogue as you don't mean they truly serving God. I know that sounds crazy, or it might not sound logical, but I done see, man. You know how many people I done seen walk away? Or come and then just leave or do something. It's like this person is dealing in wickedness. So you really have to look at a person's character. Like you see men, like I done seen several men who caught. I'm not talking about men where I'm at now. I'm just saying I've seen several men beat their wives, beat their women, bust their eye open. I didn't see it literally, but I knew it took place. Now, did he just, now I understand, did he just one day just say, you know what? Oh, did he show signs of abuse prior to that? You have men don't take care of nothing. They ain't in the word, they reading the book, but they ain't read what's supposed to work and take care of your family. They skip that. I got to study. You have to listen. If the person ain't doing what they're supposed to do without you, what make you think they're gonna do what they're supposed to do with you? I'm gonna say that again. If they're not doing what they're supposed to do without you, what in the world makes you think they're gonna do what they're supposed to do with you? These people are wearing masks, not just in the world, but so-called in the truth, in the word. They are wearing masks. You're not meeting them for real. You meeting their representative. You better sit back and observe, because one thing is that they can't hold up that facade. Eventually, you see who the person is. You be caught with somebody that they wouldn't dare, I'm just getting exactly, they wouldn't dare pass gas in front of you. They eat with the right fork at dinner, saying the right thing. Let y'all get married and some years in and some kids in and pump. You gonna hear all that. Was that you? Excuse me. Yeah, I'm talking about the woman. I ain't talking about the man. Passing gas. Why? Because that's over. You know who they are. You done seen them at their worst. You done seen them breath stinking coming out the waking up in the morning, all that. You done seen when they got an attitude. You done seen him when he down. He done lost his job, he lost his confidence. You done seen all that. But when you first meet him, y'all, you don't see that. You going out for a cup of coffee, you ain't seen that. You better pay attention though. Because if you sitting there with a cup of coffee and somebody call and say, why you ain't paying his child support? Or you sitting there with a cup of coffee and he ain't got no money because he ain't got no job and ain't trying to get no job and wants you to pay for a coffee, you better pay attention to the sign. You better pay attention to the sign. If you're in a congregation and he done got one woman pregnant, ain't taking care of her, then he got his eye on you. I don't know what's going on. That's how you got to deal with sin. You got to really look at a person's walk without you. Forget what they look like too. That's another criteria you got to get out your head. Forget what they look like. I ain't saying there won't be no attraction there, but that has its place. And ultimately, that's fleeting, because what's going to happen, you're going to get old. You're going to get old. You're going to gain weight. You're going to get old, all that. So, unfortunately, that's a terrible situation to be in. But I'm on to the next. On to the next, and the next one is stepkids. The brother asked, well, what about, I was asking about telling about what a man should do according to the word of God. I'm going to just go to, let's go to 1 Timothy. I'm not going to keep you long. He said, what about stepchildren? Okay? Because I was reading all the responsibility that a man, he needs to, be the head of his household. The priest in his house, if you were taking care of his household. And he said, what about stepchildren? What about stepfathers? And the problem with that is, again, we're in the Western world. We're in the Western world where here's how this thing happens in the Western world, especially amongst our people. Because we got a high rate of legitimacy. 77% of our children are born outside of the confines of marriage. Okay, so what's happening is you have a lot of our women dealing with our men, having babies. A lot of them either having them outside of wedlock or somebody getting married, and then they got a divorce. Either you got a separation in some way, form of fashion. A lot of it's just they dealing with a man, they not married, have a baby, on to the next. Okay, so you do that a couple times. Maybe 2 or 3 different fathers. Or it could be one. Now you're not with him, never married him. Y'all never got, y'all never Even may not even be y'all might have been living together for a short time. But so now she's in a position to where, okay, who gonna clean up this mess? And here your goofy butt come. You come, go clean up the mess. And when I say the mess is, ultimately, it wasn't designed for you to carry that burden. It wasn't designed for you. You got to do what's necessary domestically. You got to rear the kids. You got to nurture the kids. You got to discipline the children. And then you got to bring home all the money. That's not how it's supposed to be. But many women, because they done had these illegitimate children, that's just the reality. A lot of them, I'm not saying in all cases, they had these children, and then a man will come in and he will try to take on the responsibility of these children. But she got it to where, first of all, number one, you ain't number. If she got 2 kids, you number 3 in her life. If she got 3 kids, you number 4. She got 4 kids, you number 5. You coming after them kids, a lot of times you better not say nothing to them kids as far as discipline. Them kids don't respect you necessarily, even if it's in your own house. They calling you by your first name, and you paying the bills. That's a lot of time what take place. And then a father calling with an attitude, talking about put Junior on the phone. He ain't even said hello. He ain't put my son on the phone. He don't respect you. He's still looking at her. Look, that the bottom line is, and what you really need to understand is, before you get in that situation, what you need to realize is those children don't belong to you. So when you're talking about what about stepfather, what about them? When you marry, and if you marry under the circumstance, and again, there could be instances where, there could be instances where a woman has children. She may have been married, and the man left her, divorced her, or he perished. He died, right? So whatever. Either way, those technically are not your children. So you can't determine. See, this is the problem. If it's your household, you need to determine what goes on in your household. Now, there are certain cases where you can have children, this woman, and it's set up to where, hey, these children are in this house. They are part of my household now. And I can tell them what to do, and everybody's in agreement with that. But a lot of times that's not the case. And when you marry somebody who has children, particularly men, because you're talking about what about the stepfathers, when men do that, you putting yourself in a position to be frustrated. Why? Because you can't tell them children nothing. They might be respectful children, and they might not. But ultimately, those are his kids. See, in America, the woman would take the kids. But understand what a woman is. The man is putting the kids inside the woman, and the woman is incubating and forming life and bringing forth the child for the man. That's his lineage. That's what it is. And all those of his household, from wife on down to children, that's his household. So now when that household is dissolved, that don't make them not his children. Those are his children. So if you in the word call yourself in the truth, and you dealing with the truth, and he don't want his children keeping the Sabbath. He don't want his children keeping the feast days, annual feast days. He like his children eating pork. How you gonna say something about what he doing? As far as in regard to his children, you're not in a position to do that. And it's gonna be vexing. Or you see that with married people, and there'll be a man in the word, and he can't even get his wife on board, and she dealing with Christmas with the kids and all that. And that's so you're in a terrible position. And quite frankly, any man that's entering in that kind of situation should be very you need